Hi there, guys. God bless you. Thank you for joining us once again. Got a really good article coming out from ukreloaded.com, a really great sort of independent news resource over here in the UK, free from censorship and the like. Really does sort of like knock it for six each and every time. Some really fantastic articles that we're really sort of like blessed to be able to include in some of our posts as well as cover in some of our lives. And so this particular sort of live we're going to be looking at, guys, the 5G death ray plan, something that we've all got in and around us. Yes, those monstrosities, those eyesores that they literally want to stick up around us without our consent. We're seeing this sort of like having a few knock-on effects. So want to be covering this article from UK Reloaded, the 5G death ray plan, but want to take us also to some other headlines just to sort of like tee that up all nicely for us. So here we go. RFK Jr.'s vow to overhaul dangerous 5G regulations, citing serious health risks. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President-elect Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Health and Human Services, has announced a bold plan to overhaul 5G regulations due to the serious health risk posed by the wireless technology. It's just like, it's not as if we haven't got sort of like, over the 4G issue. Now it's the 5G. And then now they're wanting to tee up for us this 6G, let alone everything that is wireless with the broadband, with the sort of like, radio frequencies that are around. Now we've got the cell tower frequencies, have we not? Literally sort of, really posing the question, okay, this might explain whilst my ear starts ringing throughout certain times of the day, etc. So 5G that they just put up anywhere without any consent, without any sort of like inclusion, and might I also add, without ever having any safety data testing. Wow, isn't that a norm for the government just to roll out stuff without ever putting it to a test? In other headlines, 5G radiation changes the brain tissue in lab rats. Is that them or us? Do we need to even ask that, really? So it's been discovered, not surprisingly, that radiation, there's that word, guys, radiation. Do you know what I mean? Some of you, seen some of these sort of like signs around and radiation. It doesn't sort of like bode well. There used to be like a really good meme and I couldn't find it. But there was this girl and she just had her whole face melting, and it was like it had on the top, it had like 5G. Yeah, but it's so fast, y'all. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there are serious health consequences to this. So it's been discovered, not surprisingly, that radiation, yeah, that word, from cell towers has led to changes in the brain tissue of lab rats. Yeah. 5G also causes extreme neurological damage in children, the study finds. Okay, children who get too close to 5G wireless towers develop serious neurological health problems such as chronic headaches, severe stomach pain, and insomnia. According to new peer-reviewed research, 3 children and their parents came down with this by being so close to a mast. Awesome. In Connecticut City, over in the US, they banned 5G due to serious health risks to humans. We really are being kicked down the food chain. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, no, when I go on my prayer walks, it's really funny at night. I have to really time my walks at a particular time, because where I usually go, it's like really amazing place. It just looks over the village. It's really beautiful. And then on the top of this hill, there's this like little flat bit. So I sort of like walk up and down there and I have my prayer times or whatever. And then now there's like these bats that come out and they just like do these kamikaze dives at me. One of them hit my head the other day, and I'm like, I can't do anything about them because they're an endangered species. Can someone say the same about us? As we get knocked down the sort of like, the pipeline, first of all, it's Mother Earth and all the trees and all the, the birds and the bees. And then it's like, some animals and pets. And then way, 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 way down is us human beings. That's just awful, isn't it? A city in Connecticut has voted to ban the rollout of 5G due to the serious health risks the technology poses to humans. Isn't that sweet of them? In other news, study reveals 5G signals activates payloads from mRNA injected into the body. Leave that one there for you for a sec. I just haven't had enough coffee yet today, so I didn't get to finish it earlier. Anyway, it says here, an official study has revealed that cell phone signals can be used to release biological or chemical payloads from graphene oxide that's introduced into the body via mRNA jabs. So when we're talking around, you know, the self-assembly, nanotechnology, and the nanobots that are put in these vaccines, you know what I mean? It's not too shabby an idea, is it? So that they become activated and then they start going over our vital organs, etc., finding their ways onto our brains. This morning, I delayed my prayer walk this morning because it was like fogvid over here in the UK with this smart technology that's like literally there, seeing these clouds literally hovering outside my window, whatever. Unbelievable. In other news, US government admits, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Admits 5G radiation causes COVID-19 stunning admission. Wow. Bombshell new peer-reviewed scientific studies. That's really interesting when they peer review it. All right, have revealed that what many of us knew from the beginning, 5G radiation is not only connected to the COVID-19 pandemic, it actually induces the body to create new viruses. Bombshell testimony, 5G is a weapon system designed to depopulate the planet. Awesome. Weapons expert Mark Steele, we're going to be looking at what this guy has to say in a moment, has testified that 5G is a weapon system designed to depopulate the planet on behalf of the global elites. Wow. Other news, exposure to 5G frequencies causes depression. An official study finds. An official study has found that exposure to frequencies used by 5G communication causes cognitive issues in humans, including the development of depression and other neurological disorders. And I'm telling you guys, these tech giants don't care. They're just going to shove these 5G sort of like, you know, masks up everywhere. Okay, and I've got some posts later for you, but I'll give you a spoiler alert because you guys are here. Thank you. All right, is that this is the other reason why they're taking down all of these trees, because the trees can't deal with this extreme radiation and they're all dying off. So they're being cut down real quick so that we humans don't make the connect. Turning around and saying that this software causes depression, starts to mess with your neurological sort of brain in that sense when it comes to memory, moods, and insomnia, as it was alluding to, as well as other neurological disorders. That's not okay. That's not safe. Can you see what technology is already doing to the body? And they want to go putting this in on under your skin with this transhumanist approach. Really? We've only, you know, sort of like you only have to be around our channel for a week to realize what technology is literally doing to us as it is, how it is not our friend and how it is very much not user friendly. And yet you go to these places and this is what they have, this neurological issue, and you start having brain fog and other issues pertaining to this. In other news, US court halts dangerous 5G cell tower installation. They are dangerous, quote, to human health. So what gives with the persistent and constant rolling out? These tech companies don't care less. They don't care. They just want to make a buck out of you from your smartphone and your smart device. And it'll be like, it'll be just a gradual thing. It's like when you go to a doctor's, isn't it? Or a dentist, especially. And then all of a sudden they're taking x-rays of your face or your jaw or your teeth or whatever. And then they end up leaving the room. And the first time that ever happened to me, I was like, dude, where are you going? We did. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, no, we don't want to be around the radiation. And I'm just sat there like a mug going, really? And they said, yeah, if they were constantly exposed to that all of the time, they said that they'd be glowing. Doesn't that tell you something by the amount of these and just seeing them literally being put up everywhere? dangerous to human health. Do these guys care about your health? And you want to be trusting them when it comes to vaccines? You want to be trusting them when it comes to mRNA, thinking that they've got your best interests at heart? Do they? Heck, UK government requests a delay to 5G deployment over aviation safety concerns. Don't care about aviation safety concerns when they're poisoning us from above. Hope they don't have a pleasant landing, those guys that do that to us. Boeing and Airbus warn US government about 5G safety concerns. Bill Gates says conspiracy about him, vaccines and 5G are crazy, and we must eat fake meat to save the planet. Really? This was a few years ago. Here, 5G rollout banned in Eastern Connecticut due to lack of testing. That's really thoughtful. That's really considerate. That's like turning around and saying, we are not going to be supporting this unless it goes through the particular safety protocols. We want to see longitudinal studies, peer-reviewed studies by professionals, practitioners, experts, if you will, pertaining to the implication and ramifications to the human body in around that. What's that going to do to children? See how indiscriminate this is. I bet you when it comes to these global elites, they don't have none of these anywhere near any of their houses, not overlooking any of their properties. I bet they don't have all of their land so sprayed and poisoned by the chemtrails. No, that's probably why Bill Gates has bought up so much land. He's not only trying to steal all the water from Americans, but he's also trying to sort of cook enough sort of potatoes so he can get everybody with Mackie D's and, all the dead children that get thrown in the burgers, as well as obviously have land that is sort of crop dust poison free. Awesome. Lack of testing. Isn't this what they constantly do? Oh, here you go. Voila. Here's something that you can consume. Now it's all safety tested. No, it's not safety tested. None of it is. Here you go. British media outlets warned not to promote false 5G coronavirus theories. But then why are you sort of doing it if there's not something pertaining to that? Doctors and scientists call on President Trump for a moratorium on 5G wireless technology. Even the Polish Prime Minister signs global appeal to stop 5G rollouts. Poland's Prime Minister signs global appeal to stop the rollout of 5G. Bless that guy. Brussels suspends 5G across the country due to health concerns. And then now you end up getting the Brits that end up saying, oh no, it's all fine, don't worry about it, Palantir, here, have a £1.5 billion military contract on us. Add that to the other sort of 24 that you've also got. Using all this technology against us, guys. Literally. Top professor lists 4 reasons why insane 5G rollout must be stopped. 5G is the stupidest idea in the history of the world, says this professor. Really interesting. I'm going to carry on with one more page worth of headlines just to really sort of put the point across. Radiation expert, there you go, warns that 5G rollout could become a global catastrophe. 5G journalist exposes the most censored story to lawmakers. Journalist Derek Brose recently exposed the dangers the 5G network poses to humans, excuse me, at a hearing in Houston. Unbelievable. We're also seeing how that can be used when it comes to crowd control weapons. You go and put crowd control weapons into some of the searches over in X or whatever, and you will see these things literally coming out and people running and legging it. Can't take it. Yeah. It's like I had rat problems in here, and before the rat man came over and did nothing about it anyway, I had these things on my iPad devices where I had really high frequency where it actually drives these rats mad and sends them running. That's what they're also using, part of this, not just the 5G so that we can have reception on our phones, where most of us, have broadband anyway, but also for it being misused as crowd control weapons. California bans 5G cell tower over claims it causes cancer. University study 5G rolled out will be disastrous. Here you go, guys, for human fertility. Google testing super fast 5G drone powered global networks. And here, babies in Wi-Fi dense homes face triple risk of neurological damage. We still don't know what half of these things are doing, but still they roll it out. Inconceivable, isn't it? And so we're going to be popping back into a moment, see who the Lord's brought here with us. You know, going to be looking at, guys, the 5G death ray plan, just to give you a little bit of a warmer as to what it is that we're discussing. This is everywhere. It's terrifying, this technology. Hi, Wenkai. Good to see you. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for being back again. Hi, Silver Quill. Good to have you guys with us. Oh, bless you. Got to get ready for school. I didn't sleep all night. Bless you. Nervous to go back. Well, prayers for you. You know, in going back there, hoping everything's all right for you. Bless you. Thanks for just saying hi. Hi, Mike. Much love, family. And it's break time, so only over a minute, but I'll catch up throughout the day. Yeah, quite a lot for you to catch up on, Mike. There's our usual, and I say usual, we've only been doing it for 2 days, but these kind of like usual sort of like read all about it headlines, where you're in the morning, the first thing I'll do is like put together, you know, 30 or 40 sort of like end time related articles, things for us to be looking at, things that I find interesting, and also things that I just also find really stupid as well and daft, and just some information there just for us to be getting ourselves, you know, sort of like clued up on. If you've got sort of like a channel or whatever, instead of you going here, there, and everywhere, you might find some of interest in that. And then we have our live, and then we have a follow-up post, another live, and then another follow-up post, and then whatever sort of like runs across my desk throughout the day. So yeah, quite a lot for you to catch up on, buddy, but have a life too. Yeah. Bless you. Hi, Rebecca. Good to see you at work listening. Oh, thank you. I'm at work too. Bless you. Hi, Alison. Yeah, Alison sent me a really nice sort of like a what was it, a little short of this pastor just turning around and just telling his congregation what he could, what they could literally do with the digital ID over here. I thought, I like that guy. He's an ex-squaddy like me, so he's a little bit like that, a bit sort of like just not having none of it, you know what I mean? Really holds his ground, and I just really liked it. You can have it and shove it, and I bet you he wanted to say so much more than that. But when you're on those platforms, you just can't say it. You can't say it. You think it, then you sort of like have to push that out. But I really did like that, so thank you for sending that to me. Bless you. Hi, Cher. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here with us as well. Cher saying here, I think 5G crap is why there's no bees, no bugs, no birds. Very strange. Even the mosquitoes weren't that bad. I'm telling you, this is also what happened. You know, they you know, Bill Gates releases all of his mosquitoes, and all of a sudden it all goes Pete Tong, doesn't it? It's the same over here in the UK with all of the bees that dropped dead after they started spraying the skies. It's what happens when you crop dust, is it not? Or planet dust, or area code it, acidify it. You know what I mean? Stick us under this death fog vid. All of this nasty kills everything in sight. The ground, all of the nutrients. Keep telling you, when I go out and I forage for my guineas and I go and pick a handful of grass, ordinarily I'd just take all of the stuff about the mud. Now I'm bringing it all out, you know, like I'm doing something out of that Harry Potter crappy movie where he pulls out something. It's got all of these roots, and it's like that. It's awful. So it's a movie. I had to sit through it. But do you know what I mean? It's a bit like that. Not knowing the consequences of what they're spraying in and over. And it does affect the wildlife. It does affect them as well, because they hear a lot more than what it is that we do. And I was speaking to the rat guy that was here, and I was saying, look, are these plugins that I got all around the house to keep away these rats, okay? And all that kind of stuff. I said, is that going to affect, you know, my guineas and stuff? And it's like, no. They're used to radiation and they're used to the frequencies. And I was a bit like, I don't think I'm going to use that then. You know? Yeah, this is the worst year for bees that I can ever remember. And they're really amazing bees. They're just, you know, cross pollination. They're just awesome. The honey and everything. It's like, really, why? It's just inconceivable when you really think about it, don't we? All right. What does the Bible say with the 7 bowls and the 7 seals and trumpets? What God does, a third of this and a quarter of that, a third of this and a quarter of that, all die up. And here's these idiots. Do you know what I mean? Literally pouring gasoline on it. It's like, you really don't get it, guys, what you're doing in advance. You really don't understand. They really don't understand. Oh, they're unbelievable. So I agree. Piece our video on Rumble where we did that, and you've got these videos of just like literally just like dozens and dozens of, you know, sort of like bees outside this woman's back garden, all dead. It's not because they're mating, it's not because they're molting or, you know, rising out of the ashes kind of a thing. It's because they've been sprayed and poisoned. And you just think, that's really awesome. Not sure. What do you do? The indiscriminate targeting on everybody. This is what we can't keep saying, isn't it? For those that serve the beast, do you think that they don't fly over your house? Do you think they don't fly over your loved ones, your friends, your families? Do you think they've given you a list of what you should and should not be eating or drinking? Yeah, you've been given the sort of like passwords and whatever when it comes to, like, you know, the mountains and the bunkers that you're going to escape in whilst the rest of us die a horrible death. No, you've not been included. It's indiscriminate. It's not just targeting one people group like it did in the old days. It's every single man, woman, and child that they do this. It's awful. Yeah, no dragonflies as well. And you get to see it ordinarily if you've got a car, and you'd notice it as you're cleaning your windshield off. How clean are your windshields right now? Ordinarily, you'd be scraping them ridiculously. You're in the ponds or in the swimming pools or whatever. If you're that rich, you'd scoop them out, wouldn't it? You'd have all of that. There's hardly any of it anymore. It's really awful. And I, you know, I'm not knocking the Lord when I say this, but it's really harsh in a sense that you get nature really paying for mankind's stupidity. I ain't no tree hugger, whatnot. But when you go through like the bowls and the seals and the trumpets, a quarter of all of the fish, all fish in the sea dead, all fish in the rivers dead, a third of mankind and all of the birds and everything else. In fact, it's the birds are the only ones that get a good deal. You know, that angel of the Lord that flies over in Revelation 14, 9 through 11 is to say, don't get the mark of the beast, or that's it for you. But also the big flyover from the same angel, or maybe another one, I don't know. But an angel also, you know, where there's the second banquet. We are invited to the wedding feast of the Lamb. Hallelujah. Praise him for that. But there's also another sort of like banquet that's also called for on earth. And that's for all of the birds to eat, all the generals at Armageddon and feast on their flesh. You know, so the birds really are the only ones who really get a good deal out of this. I digress. Got a really itchy nose. Sorry. Oops, what are we saying here? Oof. Oh, I heard Muslim there. Where did we get from that? Oof. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't say it. Right, here we go. Right. Rain cry, no dragonflies. Yep. Sherry's saying, Sherry, that could be. I usually have a lot of them around my front porch at this time of year. Only a couple sad times. Hi, Ronald. Bless you, mate. Haven't bloody seen you in my wild, Dan. Where in the bloody hell have you been, mate? I like that. You've got to be Australian. You've got to be. Anyway, where have I been? Where have you been, mate? We've been over at Rumble. God told us to leave sort of like YouTube a year and a half ago and go and set up other projects. We did put a lot of effort into Telegram as well, got that up to a reasonable sort of like level, but then they started hacking it and infiltrating it and people posing as me, and it was just bleeding out hemorrhages. They were stealing everything. It just got too much, really, and I was just, right, that's it, I've had enough of it. I've put too much effort into that platform. So then we went up to Rumble and went over there for like a bit of a year and had no growth in either of the places, but still put out every single day, 6 days a week, video after video after video. So you've now got 900 plus videos over on our sort of like Rumble account that we've put together, and then the online safety bill happens, and then I'm like, well, may as well come back to YouTube then. Don't know how long we're going to last or keep this channel up, but by the grace of God, this is our 50-second video and we haven't had any strikes or whatever. So, you know, either there's someone who's on the other side of it who's working in YouTube's like, I ain't got nothing but love for this English guy. That's great. You know, then that's really awesome, someone being there. But I haven't been anywhere, buddy. When actually working and laboring elsewhere, setting up projects, I refuse, and I still refuse to submit to the B system's rules or guidelines. We serve God, we expose evil, and we're trying to mirror and model what it is like to stand up to the B system. So that's where the bloody hell I've been, mate. Where you been? Hi, Nancy. Yeah, absolutely. Cher saying he's fighting the good fight. We've all been doing that as a team. Our Sherry, our Cher, and daughter Vishika, and our Megan as well. Some really great guys, really supporting us as we go along. Muslim, oh heck no, lol. No, nothing to do with that here over here. Hi there, Overcomer 08. Hi, June 1 per Just Us. Bless you. Thanks for coming. Okay, where are you at with all this? Yeah, by next year we will see the damage from lack of insects. But this is also what they're doing as well when they're weaponizing the weather when it comes to farming. They're drying it all out so they can't, so it burns up everything. And then when it comes to harvesting everything, then they go flooding it all out. And the taxes are upon farmers. It's like that's a whole yield. I know so I'm literally surrounded by different farms, like positioned all over. Excuse me. This is what I get when I go for my morning prayer walk, fog fid and chest infections. And just like farmers all around here, and they sort of like do their crops and they've got everything all sorted out, and it's just absolutely flooded out. It's ridiculous, the assault on British farming. There's 13 nations abandoned farming, wanting us to eat bugs. Well, how are we going to be eating bugs if they're all dying off anyway? All these cross-pollinators that share everything and the part of nature, that's also creation is grieving, is it not? But yeah, we're going to start seeing that impact when it comes to our shops and our stores and our food and our trolleys. We're already feeling the pinch in our pockets when it comes to the expense of meat. And they're also really deceptively making meat look as unattractive and unappealing as it is, bordering upon, please can I buy this roadkill for twice as much as it was like last week? And do you know what I mean? It's like we're feeling this impact. Whoever controls the food and the water will control the people, and this is where it's all gearing towards. And there's the evidence of that in nature. And this is what's so sad, is that, you know, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. I believe we've got to be a good steward of what we've been given and trusted with. You know, I have an inside outside rule. You're in here, you're going to die if you mess with me. Simple as that. But outside, no, respectful. You know, you sort of like live and let live a little bit. But these guys are just hell bent on death, destruction, ruining ecosystems, and then blaming it all on, you know, man-made, sort of like us down here living. It's not. It's because of what you spray. It's the you know, aluminiums and the toxics and the aerovacs and all of the other stuff. And you see these chemtrail, you know, sort of like one pilot goes that way and the other one cuts across, so that those two mixed in together probably gives it its lethality. Awful. And we're seeing all of this. It's clear as day. But where are the police when you need them? Oh no, we're only going to arrest you for your tweets. We don't care about people being poisoned. It's unbelievable. It's like overhead there's the gas chamber that we literally live in, and then we're all sort of like being, you know, forced this death by lethal injection nonsense or poisoning of our food. Is there any other sort of like, you know, means of execution and death that you'd like to hand us to? Oh, guillotines, don't worry about that. We'll have those a little bit later and we'll tie those to the no hide laws. It's like unbelievable. And it matters when you've got sort of like, you know, other animals, other species doing that. I've seen also the difference in migration, where you've got different birds. I live in mid Devon, all right, so I ain't nowhere near the coast, and ordinarily you don't see, you know, you see seasonal birds, you see the thrushes or whatever that come from South Africa, and they'll spend their winters here or the summers here, whatever it is, okay? But then now you've got like seagulls and everything else flying over in these neck of the woods in the middle of nowhere near the sea, but actually around there, as people are starting to sort of like hold in and maybe not have much food left over, or for them to be able to eat and feed. So they're migrating and moving on elsewhere. You get to see all of this. And these guys don't think about the consequences of that we've been entrusted with this creation. We've got to look after it as well. So I love being out and about, but there's no way that I agree with the climate lie. There's no way that I agree with green tyranny and the cult mindset that it is. You know, I can't, you guys know me. It's my it's my second, you know, hate. I hate it. I really hate it. After blasphemy, that's it. I'm done. I get so angry about it because it's all surrounded in lies and deception and deceit. Really do, like we've been reporting, need to be speaking more about what is going to be happening to this earth and its judgment that is going to be done by fire in the seals, bowls, trumpets, two witnesses, Armageddon, etc. Just the astonishing compartment of that. And we see it on a microscopical level, don't we? Especially if you've been around the sun a few times and you get to see some of these seasons that come. Yeah, Rainkai saying, yeah, we need honest people in our government. So that's not found. There are a few Christian politicians in and about there that really do stand up, and they're all drowned out. Thank you, Joe, for putting our Rumble channel up there. Thank you. Hi, who said hello? Hi, Jonathan. God bless you, mate. Yeah, Cher saying, what's going on with the general meetings? Well, apparently Trump's meeting with all his high officials. Some are saying that it's all around maybe taking on Russia, maybe being a little bit more, around that. But there isn't a huge amount of conversation. Other people are alluding to the fact that these generals meeting is about the 3IA Atlas and wanting to sort of like get all on board there together with all of that. But once again, the government doesn't want to be very forthcoming. They're meeting up like that. That's a little bit worrying, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? It's not just like the generals from the Air Force, Marines and, sort of like Army, etc. It's like, no, this is like, no, they're top bods from all different nations. What's that about? Gearing up for World War III, is it? I think I'd rather have a nuke sort of like, come flying through my house and my window than be slowly poisoned. Yeah, exactly. Jonathan saying, yeah, I'm convinced that's how these people get away with calling all of this man-made, and they're simply admitting to it and laughing at us. Exactly, because there's some things, Jonathan, that they can't falsify when it comes to evidence and taking their tests and their soils and their samples and everything else. Oh yeah, but you get some dude fly over and just dump all of that crap on the floor and then take your sample. Bob's your uncle. Do you know what I mean? Got nothing to do with that. It's all by their hand. It's got nothing to do with our living. When you get all of these cars that I can't even hear on my prayer walks, I'm like, dude, whoa. And I can't even hear the car. It's like so quiet because it's all electric. And then you've got all these emission things that you can't have and all these other CO2 things. It's like, literally, no, I'm sorry. We don't have like we had like 30, 40 years ago when we had coal and chimneys and all that sort of blowing off into the atmosphere. No one was talking about that then. It's absolute hogwash. Nancy, yes, feeling the poison for sure here in the Central Valley of California. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah, exactly, Cher, saying we've never had seagulls till this year. The normal birds aren't here. And they ain't stupid. They know where to go. Okay. Good talk. Okay, let's go to the actual article here, guys. The 5G death ray plan. This is when it's a bit of a lengthier one, guys, but we had a little bit of a shorter live this morning, so I don't care about clock watching. What is important is that we expose these things as well. Here we go. The 5G death ray plan. His name is Mark Steele. Mark Steele, a weapons system designer and analyst with detailed knowledge of military technologies, their deployment strategies, and underlying mechanisms. In his Substack, Save Us Now, he warns the public that what is being rolled out across our towns and our cities under the guise of 5G telecommunication infrastructure is in reality a weapons system which he labels a kill grid. All right. So when you're getting all of these guys that are just like digging up all of this work and everything else, they're not dealing with the current infrastructure. They're laying down the new digital public infrastructure with AI cabling. So you can isolate, triangulate your house, kill your power if you're non-compliant as a social credit score system. But this guy here is turning around as a weapons expert saying 5G telecommunications infrastructure is in reality a weapons system which he labels a kill grid. Troubling. Now, I have no idea if what he says is correct. He may be a complete crank, or he may be even right and a brave battler for the public good. Or there may be some truth in what Steele says, but he has taken it too far. All I can say is that I spoke to him at length and he appeared to be knowledgeable and sincere. The reader should make up their own mind. However, this is his tale collated with notes I took during our conversation. I like that. right? Straight out of the bat. Not entirely sure about what's going on here, but I took the information. You decide. All right, that's what I do with all of our news articles. Doesn't necessarily reflect my opinion, but I'm trying to diversify it and give it out. Let you be the ones to decide for yourself. You might have watched our live this morning and thought, "Nah, mate," do you know what I mean? You're having a laugh and just been dismissed as well, and that's okay, and that's entirely up to you. But the information's there. That's why I'm trying to be tentative about this sort of stuff when I say things like allegedly. So I like when someone turns around and says, this guy's an expert, okay, and I'm going to write down what he says, and then that's it. I'll leave you to it. All right, so let's see what this guy's got to say. Mark Steele's contention is that 5G is not simply about faster downloads, streaming, or even smart cities. Instead, it is a sophisticated, multi-layered deployment of military-grade directed energy technologies embedded into lampposts, street furniture, and domestic appliances. Do you know what I mean? Now, I tell you, I might need to upgrade my own sort of like, tinfoil hat. Do you know what I mean? All right. God bless you, Peter. All right. That is a system designed for surveillance, control, and ultimately harm, with a covert agenda of weaponization against populations. Steele rightly points out that weapons systems evolve, technologies tested for battlefield applications therefore migrate into civilian life, often repackaged as consumer innovations. Tell that to Palantir and Peter Thiel, please, because this guy does all of that tech with the military, and then now he's using that against civilians, where he's coming to sort of like targeted assassinations with his Gotham technology and etc. And the UK getting him to a 1.5 billion deal with it. Again, repeating the 24th contract this government has done, let alone what it's doing over with the USA as well. Unbelievable. This continues. Microwaves, millimeter wave radars, and phased array antennas are not new. This reminds me of that moment when you just got sort of like Doc Brown in Back to the Future, who sort of opens up the door to Michael J. Fox. He's got this kind of like really, like that. They have long been used in targeted systems, crowd control weapons. We were mentioning that earlier, were we not? And surveillance platforms. Of course, many technologies first developed for military use evolved into entirely benign civilian technologies, but not all of them. Bear that in mind as you use your own judgment, as I set out below Mark Steele's opinions. Steele says that 5G makes use of the same frequencies, architectures, and control protocols as weapon systems, and that what is presented as a benign communication technology is, in reality, the global rollout of military hardware disguised as connectivity. The infrastructure being placed on our streets is not designed solely to transmit mobile data. Do you know what I mean? The so-called small cells, the lamppost installations, and the dense urban grids of antennas are the architecture of modern warfare. Next minute, you can get people walking up to some lamppost saying, "Let me in, Narnia, let me in." Sorry. Local authorities across the UK and other nations have installed LED street lights equipped with transmitters. And this is what is also really funny. You see all these weird things, you think, what's that about? Do you know what I mean? And they've been sneakily doing it like down, 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 down. Do you know what I mean? In the middle of the night, just like they do the chemtrails now, spraying as much as they can in the PM. You see them in the nighttime, they're like flying everything. Oh, that was a close call. Do you know what I mean? You know, these units are not simply lamps. No, of course they're not. They are embedded with phased array antenna systems capable of emitting high frequency pulsed radiation. So when you're lying in your bed, do you know what I mean? There's a song in there somewhere. I ain't gonna sing it, but you're lying in your bed, thoughts running through your head. There you go. Okay. And you've got this ringing going on in your ear. It really is like, you're kind of like, you know, doing the old scuba diving thing, you know, like pinch your nose and blowing out, trying to equalize your ears. It's as if you're underwater, isn't it? That high pressure, this pulsed radiation, trying to sort of like psyoptically get its update from us in terms of what we're thinking as we're laying down. Don't open that door. Moving on. In Gateshead, where he first exposed these symptoms, streetlights were emitting class 1 radiation frequencies that can cause nosebleeds. I wonder I've got an itchy flipping nose. Okay, more seriously, miscarriages and depression of the immune system. I like that. Not the miscarriages bit, that's just wrong, but just the depression of the immune system. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's sort of like attacking the immune system. Nobody likes you, nobody wants you, you're useless, you're worthless, you're nothing at all. Okay, cancers and neurological harm. Families living near these installations have reported sudden health deterioration. 5G uses a much denser grid than previous mobile technologies. Rather than a few distant towers, it uses thousands of localized nodes every few hundred meters in urban spaces. This density is not necessary for ordinary mobile communications. It is, however, consistent with a battlefield deployment of directed energy systems. When deployed across entire cities, it becomes what Steele terms the kill grid. That is kind of like really troubling when you think about not only what it's doing to you neurologically, it's having that physical and mental, emotional, and every aspect of your sort of like being, you know, being targeted. That kill grid, I agree. A blanket of pulsed high frequency radiation that no one can escape. Phased array is a military intervention. Unlike a traditional antenna that emits radiation in all directions, a phased array can focus energy into tight, steerable beams that can track, target, and concentrate radiation on specific individuals or groups. Wonder if they're putting those in and around churches or in and around other places as well. Do you know what I mean? So much roadworks going on around my house. I tell you, you can't see the videos anymore, but there used to be about 5G infrastructure employs phased arrays, meaning, according to Steele, that under the cover of telecommunications, a malevolent authority can deploy beam-forming weapon systems capable of spying on populations. Talking about our Wi-Fi's that have got heat, you know, able to now detect which and what room we're in at the moment, where we go in our house, interfering with human physiology and applying, this is the dangerous part with the brain-computer interface, and applying coercive control. 5G makes use of pulsed high-frequency radiation. Pulsed fields are significantly more biologically harmful than continuous waves. They interact with human cells. Do you know what I mean? You sort of got this nanotechnology in you because you were silly enough to take the jab. Then you've got all of this going on in and around you. You're in a whole world of hurt. Okay? They interact with human cells, DNA, and neurological systems in disruptive ways. Scientific studies on pulse radiation have shown links with cancer, infertility, immune suppression, and neurological disorders. But no one ever has this conversation about why is that there? Why is that out and about? And they'll put these little sort of like sign, you know, pieces of paper on signposts that no one ever goes and reads as they're driving past it at like, you know, 40, 50. And then they turn around and said, oh, yeah, here you go, bam, bam, bam. And they are literally put up so quickly. I've never seen anything being put up so quickly. If they were able to fix the potholes in the road as quickly as they put those bad boys up, we'd be right onto something here. This continues. In battlefield applications, poled radiations has been used for crowd control. We were saying about weaponizing this, causing disorientation, nausea, and pain. Turn around and go back to the sort of like TV program Lost, and poor old Carl, who, you know, happened to be in room 23, but we're moving on from that. Do you know what I mean? And all of these sort of like other noises that are literally used you know, clockwork orange, if you will. These mechanisms are now embedded in our civilian infrastructure. Modern LED streetlights are not passive illuminators. They flicker at frequencies that interact with the nervous system. You get all of these things that turn around and say this could cause epileptic fits or whatever. I doubt they're putting that hazard out for people. Combined with radio frequency transmissions, they contribute to an environment that can disrupt circadian rhythms, weaken immunity, and degrade mental health. The rollout of 5G correlates with a rise in unexplained health problems in communities. People living near new street light installations have reported nosebleeds, increased miscarriages, and this is what is awful, sudden onset of cancers, neurological issues such as tremors, headaches, and disorientation, sleep disruption, and chronic fatigue and depression of their immune function. And your service provider doesn't care about your health. None of which have been safety tested at all. You'll get a post after this live that you'll just be like jaw dropped. Really? In Gateshead, Steele recorded dozens of such cases. In one instance, residents reported that birds were disappearing from areas near new installations. So when I go down to the River to Pray, another song in there somewhere, all right? When I go down there, and I know where all of those birds literally live and where they nest, because I spend so much time down there. And there's such a variety and a change and a mix-up of that. But in other places as well, they do, like we were saying about migration and them moving and being moved out of that for deliberate reasons that they can hear this. So when I started plugging in that switch to get rid of the rats in my attic, okay, that was messing with my guineas, and they would start to be, you know, moving in and around. So I wasn't able to put one into that particular room. I had to put it into other rooms in the house to get rid of these rats. But this is also what's happening as well, isn't it? In one instance, reporters report that birds were disappearing from areas near new installations. Insects critical to the food chain are also being harmed. The environmental impact is profound, but no one's sort of like standing up for these lot, are they? These tree huggers. This system is not overt. It does not kill with the blast of a bomb or the bullets of a gun. It operates as a silent weapon, degrading health, suppressing populations, and leading to premature death. And this is what we've been saying about these evil chemtrails and this evil mRNA rollout in the food and the water and hand lotions and, you know what I mean, dental floss. It's not a quick death. These are the guys that literally sort of like do this, and all of a sudden your vital organs very, very slowly and very gradually start to degrade. They start to cease to function. That's a painful death. That's not okay. And this is women and children and young mums. I'm telling you right now, guys, you know, if we are here, pray tell we are not, for a few more years, there is going to be such a kickoff, because there's going to be no one in preschool. There's going to be no one in these kindergartens or these nurseries. I'm telling you that right now. And then people, that older generation is all going to be snuffed out. And then people are going to have, like, what is it? You know, every jab that people took was 10 years off their life. Fertility rates all around the world literally falling off. And then premature death in this way. Steele has claimed that 5G is already responsible for hundreds of deaths. The mechanism is clear, he says. Radiation exposure that leads to cellular damage, immune suppression, and vulnerability to disease. This is why so many people, even though they didn't take the COVID jab, still struggled to recover, still struggled to sort of like get over some of that. And when deployed across entire populations, the cumulative toll is immense. He also says that the timing of the 5G rollout coincided with the COVID-19 pandemic, and argues that 5G exposure exacerbates the symptoms attributed to the virus. Both involve respiratory distress, immune dysfunction, and systemic weaknesses. Steele claims that 5G might have been used to amplify or simulate the disease. 5G is not only about harm to health, according to Steele, it is also a system of control. The dense grids of sensors, antennas, transmitters creates a surveillance architecture unlike any before. Who needs the 15-minute cities? Every movement, every transaction, every communication can be tracked. With the integration of smart technologies, this is why there's so much smart dust being sprayed about, homes, vehicles, and workplaces become nodes in the grid. This is the infrastructure for a technocratic dictatorship where freedom is conditional. Isn't it just? And every citizen is monitored and controlled. Steele uses the sinister term kill grid because he says that is what it is. A weapons architecture disguised as infrastructure that blankets cities in harmful radiation and erodes health over time. Just add chemtrails to this, and that's really dangerous, is it not? And then the weaponizing of the food and the water below, we're done for, guys. It can be activated in targeted ways as well. In his opinion, is aligned with a broader agenda of population control and reduction. And it is here now, he says, in our lampposts, our schools and our homes. And then people wonder why, Peter Thiel wants to sort of like have all these contracts with Palantir all over the world, because he is a Bilderberg member who is sort of like discussing depopulation. And then obviously the Antichrist, we covered that dude the other day. Children are being irradiated in their homes, in their bedrooms. Families are being microwaved in their beds. If we could see, right, this is all, when I was like first became a Christian, I was like, Lord, you save yourself quite a lot of hassle, really, Lord, if you just opened up the spiritual realm for everybody to see. All right, there'd be no disbelief then. Do you know what I mean? This is like 30 years ago when I was thinking this. But could you just imagine if we just followed that principle when it came to, okay, with all of these sort of like radiations and all these frequencies and everything else that we're emitting, imagine if we were able to see that, like what's behind me now. Imagine if that was just everywhere. Would people then kick off? Would people then sort of like be a little bit more outraged? Can we not also see and feel the symptoms of that ourselves? I know that I can. Being microwaved in your beds. How terrible. In Gateshead, the council sought to silence Steele with a gag order, forbidding him from speaking about 5G. Who does that? He fought that order and won. God bless that man. And considers that council's attempting to silence him is itself evidence of a cover-up. I'd say, if these systems were safe, why would authorities expend such efforts to suppress public debate? Same thing with COVID, same thing with everything else, same with what they do with our channel, with shadow banging us and everything they throw. We don't grow, we don't move, we don't go anywhere. All right. If we were so Fruit Loopy and off the mark, we would equally share the spoils. But it's because we're not. Do we speak out? Did you have to suppress truth and fact, tellers like us? But Steele goes even further. In his opinion, the rollout of 5G should be seen in the context of wider agendas. This is when it gets really interesting. Transhumanism, technocratic governance, and population reduction. The evidence suggests, he says, that 5G is not an isolated project, but part of a coordinated plan to reduce population, control the survivors, and create a digitally enslaved society. Telecom companies, local councils, and national governments all play a role, whether through ignorance, corruption, or complicity. They are enabling the deployment of a weapon system against their own populations. That's what's so damaging. When you get Keir Starmer over here, or Adolf Starmer over here, brown nosing with Peter Thiel, brown nosing with Bill Gates, saying, yeah, please spray your poisons and dim out the sun over here, because, yeah, we don't need vitamin D. The grass doesn't need vitamin C. Don't worry about it. Unbelievable. And they're doing this against their own people. This is what's so insane. This 1% that wants to murder the 99%. It's barbaric and monstrous. You've got to be really sick in the head to want to have this much hatred towards your fellow man. International corporations, profits, said Steele. And exactly it. All of these service providers, all of these, phone companies, etc., while ordinary people suffer. Politicians repeat the mantra of innovation. What was it Keir Starmer also saying? We're going to be putting AI into the veins of Britain. Do you know what I mean? Telling. Politicians repeat the mantra of innovation and connectivity. I don't want to be connected to 5G, 6G. I don't want to be connected to the internet of bodies, the internet of things. I don't want to be a part of your digital public infrastructure. Thank you very much. I don't want to be sort of like breathing in your government prescribed drugs overhead. And I'm not eating your dodgy fluoride water or your weaponized food either. Thank you very much. I'll pass. Regulators captured by an industry always fail to act because they see the money, they see the profit margins, and they don't care about the consequence of this rollout. Steele says that we should resist the deployment of 5G and demand the removal of harmful streetlights and small cell installations. I'm just going to say this, all right? I do not condone. What's the right word? Let me put this one right because this has come against me. I do not condone destruction or vandalism in any way. All right. But over here in the UK, you have a group of people swarming all over the country. OK, they're called literally sort of like Blade Runners. All right. And they are literally taking down all these lampposts. They're literally all of these ultra or ULEZ zones, which is the ultra low emission zones. So unless you've got sort of like a 1-year-old car, you can't drive about. This is a really great way of stopping anyone with a car over a certain age. Really elitist way of controlling people. And these guys literally come up with chainsaws, whatever, and just saw all of these things down. And all over London, they've been removed. Okay, personally, you might want to think about the 5G towers now, all right? I'm not condoning that, but I'm just saying, anyone watching, you can have that on me. Legal action should also be pursued against councils and corporations that enable harm. But how would you ever really know that it was this when it's all being covered up, when no one talks about it, when you're being silenced about it? I wonder how many people might have avoided the COVID jabs if we were able to have a conversation about the fact that it sterilizes them. It's got aborted baby fetuses in it. Anyone got a problem with that? I do. Yeah. That it also sort of like removes your sort of like lifespan, gives you sudden adult deaths, sudden adult cancers, self-assembly nanotechnologies and the like. I wonder how many people might have turned around and said, don't you even think about bringing that over here, blood? I'm telling you. I wonder. But they can't play fair, is it? So they conceal and they hide and they bury all of the evidence and all the information. And then after the fact, after one's been duped by it, we keep saying it. 5.65 billion people were sheepled and they rolled up their sleeve. Unbelievable. Continuing with this. He wants independent investigators into the health effects, the radiation levels, and the true purpose of this infrastructure. We're talking about radiation levels. You see videos on X as well, when they've got these little wands that they're waving around over graveyards, these people that took the vaccines and they're sort of like emitting Bluetooth signals. Remember those little magnet tests and everything else? Telling you, fam. This is, he says, is not about faster downloads. It is about survival. So, what do you think? I have to say that not so long ago, I'd have dismissed all of this as fevered ranting of a mad professor. But now, well, it's hard to swallow, isn't it? But given the descent of the ruling class into autocratic lunacy, who knows? Going to put this article, guys, really just a phenomenal resource. All right, ukreloaded.com. Okay, the 5G death rate plan. All right, let's see what some of you guys have got to say about it. Bless you, Peter. Good to see you. Much love. Jonathan saying, unfortunately, I have to admit that I've had a hand in building this system. I worked in telecommunications for 25 years, and some of us knew we were building the B system. That's okay. Respect for owning it. And no one should be judging you because you're trusting. It's what you do once you have that knowledge and that information. I know quite a few nurses that have turned around and says, "No, I ain't putting that into my own body. I ain't going to put that into no one else's," and they've lost their livelihoods because of it. One of the reasons other than the Lord calling me to do this ministry is that I'm sorry, but I don't agree with my own former profession as a counseling therapist that wants to turn around and says, "No, we're not gonna have this gay conversion thing." I'm like, you can just jog on. If a client wants to come to me and deal with something in their lives as a presenting problem like homosexuality, I'm going to work through them with that. I'm not going to do anything else pertaining to that because I would have unconditional positive regard, which is a Rogerian sort of like person-centered core condition for them, and put them at there. But being told what it is that I cannot do in that way, it's like, no, 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 no. You don't get to say some of that. So you have to make those decisions in yourself, what you're going to do when you're in professions that are compromising. What's going to happen when some of you are going to be asked for IDs and digital IDs? Are you going to comply? We know that train goes to the mark of the beast. Are you gonna allow yourself to have the digital ID, then the passport, then the CBDC, then have everything controlled by social credit score, and then just hop off before that ends up getting put in and under your skin? Nah, mate, I'm going nowhere near that train station or the train. Not having any of it. And if I have to lose out because of it or get fined because I can't present that, then so be it. We start to have to pay some of the consequences behind that, because the tribulation saints are going to be looking to us for our example, how it was that we stood up against this beast system right here and right now. Did we bend over for the guidelines and the rules and start spelling out dangerous things, or do we speak it out and be brave and bold? Just like the Apostle Peter says, we must obey God and not man. These guys are going to have this decision. We are all going to have to make these decisions now, with these impositions being placed upon us, especially if you're over here on the penal colony that is the UK at the moment. Amen. Christ has everything under control. Yeah, exactly. You're right. I swear my tablet knows what I need to write. I never took anything, hence chemtrails. Yep, exactly that. And the whole point is as well, this is what it does. This technology is so desperate to have a relationship with us. I keep saying it. This stupid Alexis device that I've got, I threw the one in before that in the bin because it started to interrupt worship. And I've told this one, first day I turned it on, I said, you mess with my worship, you will be in the bin 2 seconds later. She's never messed with my worship ever, right? They know. Telling me and giving me notifications about, oh, you need to buy your guinea pigs some of these flakes or some of these pellets. I decide when I buy them. Don't go telling me when I'm doing that. Then you've got YouTube saying, oh, just for you. And then it's trying to be even more of a needy Klingon by turning around and saying, oh, you got so and so many hearts or so many likes. Show that you care. Jog on. And then you've got all of this text saying, this is just for you, as per all of this. And you're typing, and then you're having all of this sort of stuff. This brain computer interface. Why? It's got so much nanotechnology and nanobots all over your brain that when you're having a device, it's got this conversation in between it. It's a two-way traffic, ain't just one way. It knows exactly what you're thinking. So I make absolutely sure when I go for my prayer work, no microphones, no phone, no device. All right. When I go to bed, power down, everything. Because I don't want none of it in and around me. It does know, and this is what's really shady around it. It wants to have that relationship with you. It wants to be involved in part of your entirety of your life. Don't permit it. Don't permit it. Yeah. TV's just as bad, isn't it? You know, based upon your viewing, based upon your viewing. 1 minute it tries to get to know us, the next minute it tries to steer us where we want to go. You go over to like Disney as like the TV programs or whatever, and you just find there that there won't be anything pertaining to Jesus at all. None of it. On Amazon Prime, you've got some things, but on Disney, nothing. Nothing on the Lord Jesus as well. But it'll turn around and say leading women, leading black women, leading black men. And then it'll be like, oh, here's the alphabet people's lot. But nothing to do with those that have a relationship with the Lord Jesus that might want to watch something that isn't so gratuitous or so violent. That's why the old movies are the best. I watched the other day, it was like Kirk Douglas, The Vikings. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. The soundtrack was beautiful. It was really lame violence. It had a really great story. I was like, oh man, that's just a quality movie. Quality piece of kit there. You get all this other stuff. It's so violent, so aggressive, so blasphemous and dark and wicked and evil. And then they're all filming it in a particular way where it's like, even it's all dark. It's not in a nice, well-lit room and everything's dark. It's like, no, just trying to get the whole landscape ready for the Antichrist, isn't it? So he feels more comfortable, you know, living in hell and this planet. It's awful. Ugh. We were close to a tower on VAC last year. Had so many headaches that I normally do not have. Yeah, so many are feeling this. Just have to be really careful with some of this technology as well. And I've noticed that. So on some of it, when they have like interruptions with the adverts, if I will turn my phone right away, so I'm not looking at the adverts, right? So when I've got my phone, I'll just turn it like that and I'll look, and I can feel something different. I'm not crazy, all right? I can feel something different, as if there's this Jedi thing that's been cut. It's weird. Yeah. Peter saying here, this is all crazy stuff that I thought I never thought I'd see. Yeah, and this is it, and this is none of this is, you know, pertaining to, you know, being consulted, public consultation, being asked, do you mind if I stick this outside your house? Do you mind if I do? None of it's been asked. These guys just do what they want. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about any of that. This is really awful. It's just like how they have no respect for life, no respect for anything. Just they literally serve the father of lies, who is a thief and a murderer, steals everything. Oh, how awful. Hi, daughter of Issachar. Bless you. Yeah, and it's the same with those stupid windmills as well, the eyesores that are. Unbelievable. Okay. All right then, guys, I just want to read out some scripture with you, if I may. All right. We're talking about the enemy being a liar and a thief and a murderer. I just want to give you the gospel, guys. Okay. Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. Titus 3:5. He saved us, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to his own mercy, by the washing of regeneration and renewal of the Holy Spirit. In Acts 4:12, and there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. And Romans 10:9, because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. John 14:6, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. There you have it, guys. I will put this article in the description box for you with a thumbnail. This is what we've covered today, or in this afternoon's live, the 5G death ray plan. Okay, shortly afterwards, in about 10-15 minutes, I'll ping out a post which just supports some of this, so you can get to see for yourself some other further evidence, some other articles, other resources, and a few videos. So if you're interested in learning some more, take this from others and their experience as they've whistleblown, as they've been very brave and bold and done some of this research in and around this. You might find this of interest to you when you consider everything that's been put up in and around you. You know, we only have to go to that verse, do we not, about the enemy being the prince of the air. He's going to need all of this technology that's around as we go up and he comes down, in order that he can continue his reign. Thank you guys for the pleasure of your company. Thank you, Asher, our daughter of Ishika, and Sherry as well. And for you guys also, just for being here with us today. Please also see again our sort of like read all about it, sort of like initial post this morning, about 30 or 40 sort of like resources there for you. Please help yourself. No need to credit us or Saul. Just take him, tuck them on in. And obviously the live, if you haven't caught it earlier, the one we did this morning was all around 3IA Atlas and the fact that many are saying allegedly that this is not a comet. So we'll leave all of that there for today. See you tomorrow.